Hey man, how you doing?
Good, Ed. How are you, man?
Good. Did you put up the Spurs thing just for me?
It's so funny, dude. So I walk in here. So this is the theater that I have down here. And my kid kind of lives down here, right? And he's a huge Spurs fan. And I walked in here and I saw that. And I quickly Googled, like, is Ed Sheeran an Arsenal fan? Because I was going to pull that thing down.
No, so do you know what my security guard and manager, who are both godparents to my kids, are both Spurs fans, so they bought my kids Spurs kits, and so we like Spurs.
So we got lucky. I know you're on short time. We got lucky a couple of years ago. I took them to that Champions League final, not
Right.
knowing that Spurs were going to be in it. And they just
Oh,
happened.
Liverpool.
Yeah, they got their
Oh,
ass
that was a
kicked.
good that was a good one, man. That was a
Yeah,
good
but it
one.
was funny. It was fun. It was really fun. Well, man, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it, dude.
Good to be here.
We're just talking about my son, and my son, I brought him backstage to hang out with you years and years and years ago. You won't remember this, but I wanted to thank you for being so kind to him. And I was wondering, like, of course, that's sort of in a professional setting, but have things tweaked a little bit now that you have kids when you're out in the public? Are you a little bit more guarded on how cool you can be or interact with fans?
No, I always speak to fans. Always, because I feel like that's actually what fans want, is the connection rather than a picture. I think people ask for pictures because they don't know what to say, and
Yeah,
picture, that's the thing where they go, oh, I'll just ask for a picture. But usually I'm like, especially if I'm with my kids, I don't really want like phone cameras out
sure.
if I'm with my kids. So I'll just be like, have a conversation with them, and then everyone leaves feeling good
Yeah.
rather than, yeah, rather than just being like, no, go away, I'm with my kids. So it's more of a people understand it a bit more when you explain it.
And then they go and they tell their friends, "Oh my God, you're not going to believe this! I just had a 10-minute conversation with Ed Sheeran." They're like, "That's bullshit."
Well, I don't know, man. I think it's like I'm not like a picture guy. If I meet
Yeah, me
people
neither.
that I admire, like I'd rather have a conversation, to be honest.
Yeah, sure, no doubt. Well, man, it's going to be 5 years since you were in the States touring, man. What did we do? Why'd you wait 5 years, bro? We've been waiting for you.
Well, COVID was two of them, to be
Yeah,
fair, and one of them was on tour this year. So really, it was 2 years of not touring in America, and I had 1 year off, and then the other year was Europe. So actually, I can account for all 5 years. But yeah, I guess that's just the way it's fallen with.
yeah,
But plus, like, touring the States is, it's not like touring England. I can tour England in like 2 months, and I
yeah,
can tour Europe in like 6 months. Like the States, you have to really come here, move here,
sure.
do it properly. It's not like you can just nip here for a couple of gigs. You have to, if you're going to do it, you have to do it properly.
No doubt. Are the crowds different in Europe than they are in the States?
Mm, I mean, the crowds are different everywhere. I would say the different cities in the States are different. Like I'll play London and Glasgow, or Glasgow and Manchester, or Manchester and Frankfurt, and they're all different places. Like everywhere has different personalities, really. And I would say even places like Dallas is going to be different to Los Angeles or New York. So everywhere, if it's far enough away from something, it's going to be a different crowd.
Have you toured enough that if somebody put a blindfold on you, put you on a stage, you couldn't see the crowd, could you tell within like 15 minutes what city or where you were based on the crowd?
Uh, yeah, yeah. I'd be able to give you like a rough ballpark. Like,
Really?
yeah, like if they were really loud cheers and then completely silent in the gig, it's going to be Germany or
Huh.
Japan. If it's just screaming for the entire thing, it's going to be like Glasgow or Dublin or sometimes London. Um, yeah, it all depends. Like every single city has their own personality, really. Like France is pretty mental as well. But like Germany, when you play Germany, they're like a super respectful audience, and you can hear a pin drop when you play the quiet
Really?
songs, but they go insane for the loud songs. So it's like yeah, everywhere's different. Everywhere's different.
Super interesting. It's the Mathematics Tour. Tickets went on sale on Friday. I'm super curious that are you involved in any of like the finances that go into a tour and the logistics? How
Totally,
does
yeah.
the whole process even work, man?
Divide tour ended, and uh we were already planning on doing it in the round stage, so we started doing designs, and then COVID happened, and sort of insurance and loans on getting started, like no one knew what would happen for live shows. So actually it's like 100%, like usually it's financed by, you sort of finance it by the tour, as before you go on the tour you get like a loan, you build it, and you blah blah blah. But yeah, it was 100% financed by me, this like taking the kind of like building it in COVID, knowing that hopefully eventually people would want to come back for shows. So
this is fascinating to me, Ed. So are you in on the logistics and what the stage is going to look like? Or do you have a team that throws a bunch of ideas at you and you're like, love, hate?
Well, I mean, I don't design the stage because I'm not a stage designer, but the guy, Mark Cunniff, who is, will design a set. So this was like the maybe third or fourth iteration of the kind of thing that I wanted. Originally, it was just going to be completely in the round, with video screens, and then I was like, can we work it out to have like a halo above? And he had like a VR machine that he kept coming to my house and putting VR goggles on, and he was like, this is what it's going to feel like when you're standing on stage, because obviously it's like when I say the stage is expensive to build, like I don't own anything close to how expensive this stage is. It's just like it's mind-boggling. So before you go to spend money on a stage like that, you will really want to be sure it's correct. So I had VR things, and you basically stand on it and it shows you what the revolve's like. It shows you how the halo's going down. It shows you where the crowd would be. Like it then goes like bird's eye view from like the nosebleed seats. This is what the stage is going to look like from here. It's like a big undertaking, basically.
When you get on stage for the first time after rehearsals and after everything else and the VR stuff, does it ever meet up to what you think it's going to that first time you're on stage on that first date?
Yeah, like it was actually absolutely incredible, but I was so terrified that something was going to mess up. You know, it's not like there's so many things now in the show that it's kind of like if one thing, it's the dominoes basically, and the show works like this. So this bit, and one of those bits goes, like you're done. The stage, like if the halo doesn't go down at a certain point, then the fireworks won't go off, and then if the revolve stops, and then this bit won't go. Like it's so like dependent on everything working perfectly. So on the first gig, I was like, is it going to work? And the first gig was the best show of the entire tour because it all worked so perfectly. And then the second gig, the revolving stage just shut down. So
really?
But you'd have never known, because there was 20 steel boys down there who built the stage, pushing it around. So it actually ended up revolving for the whole show. Yeah, it was mad.
I feel like it's so complicated now. Like, I mean, you look at like Post Malone, who like fell through like a trap door on stage, man. Do you ever get nervous about stuff like that happening?
Yeah, of course. But all of that stuff, like I saw that and I was like, that can happen to any of us. Like I've fallen over on stage. Like fans love it when that happens, because it shows the human side of artists that they love. Like whenever I've like slipped and fallen on stage, or you see like Beyonce slip and fall on stage, like fans, those videos always get shared because it actually shows that the artists that they love are actually just human beings that make mistakes too. But yeah, it's never something that you want to happen. But I like whenever it's happened to me, I'm not like, oh man, like that's the worst part of my day. It's like shit happens, you know?
Right. Sort of as a sidebar here, just to wrap things up, you know, there are a lot of artists now. I think like mental health now is probably more important in the industry than I have ever seen it before. And you see like guys like Justin Bieber and Shawn Mendes going, hey, I'm really bummed out for you guys, but I can't do this. I got to protect myself right now. And from the outside looking in, I wonder if fans understand how grueling it is. Can you explain that to them?
Yeah, I guess I think people do know, like people can put two and two together, you know, like every single artist that has ever been an artist has mental health issues. That's part of being an artist. You have to be like uber sensitive, just to even be creative, just to be able to like open up the side of your brain that like allows feelings to be put out into music. So I feel like fans know that, but I feel like everyone has mental health issues.
Yeah,
I feel like it's just a common thing. But what I think is positive about it now is someone like Shawn Mendes can cancel a tour, and fans go, "Good for you," rather than, "Hey man, like blah blah blah." So I think that the whole narrative on it is changing. Yeah,
so much healthier than it used to be. It really is, man.
totally.
Uh,
Totally, because I felt like it was, you know, you look back at, there's not as many people that are alcoholics and drug addicts in the music industry as there was 30 years ago, say. Like, it feels like I don't know anyone from a certain generation that isn't either like super still strung out on drugs, or they're sober, like completely sober. There's like not really any heritage artists that I know that isn't one of those things, you know.
right. Have you ever been close to like when just the walls were coming in on you with other things going on where you're like, I don't know that I can get there on stage tonight?
Yeah, yeah, I have, but like I don't, I like being on stage makes me feel better than anything in
Yeah.
the world. So that's actually like, whenever that's happening in my life, I'm like, once I'm out on stage, all my problems are going to go. Like, my escape is being on stage. I feel like I can't be touched for 2 hours. I'm just there and I'm just on stage and performing. So I don't like, my thing, I have my wobbles sort of not on tour, you know, when I'm not on stage, because that is my release. That is the way that I feel happy.
It makes sense. It makes 100% sense. Ed Sheeran joining the Bert Show this morning. Man, really appreciate your time. The tour is going to be great. We're not even talking about cancellations because it's not going to happen. And I'm sure
no, there's no, from my side of things, there's no way. I mean, like, you can't control anything else in the world, but from my side of things, yeah, that ain't happening.
Well, with any luck at all, it'll be even more successful than the last US tour. Ed Sheeran joining the Bert Show. Thanks for your time, man. Sure appreciate you, dude.
Thank you, man. Nice one.
The Bert Show.